We've travelled over 5,000 kilometres in the past 4 weeks, tackling tough tracks and living out of our four-wheel drives. But how did the cars hold up? Because we broke some things, so let's uncover it.
Now, with the terrain that we covered on our trip, particularly the sand and the salt, it's crucial that you give your four-wheel drive a good clean when you get back from your trip. Now, I've already gone and done the right thing with the Patrol. I cleaned that like as soon as we got back at the car wash, but Paddy's here has been sitting for about a week, which as you can imagine, probably isn't great for all the debris that's still sitting on it. So we're gonna be giving the 80 a good clean, but I don't just mean making it look pretty, we're actually gonna be focusing on the underside, which is where all the sand and the mud normally gets trapped.
0, 25, 40. I can't remember which one I normally use. The mud's pretty caked on there.
Yeah, on the chassis it's all right though.
Now, when it comes to cleaning a car, you can't be scared to get a little bit wet in order to clean all the hard to reach places. And once the underside is clean, we can give the outside a soap up and a good scrub.
And then rinse it off. All right, so the 80 is, well, it's as clean as it's ever gonna get, but we'll see what Paddy reckons. I mean, he hasn't been bothered to clean it yet, so he can't be mad with what I've done, so let's see what he reckons.
Looks good. Well, as good as it's gonna get anyway.
That's literally exactly what I said.
Yeah, it's definitely caught a few more scratches this trip, but yeah, I think that's what Liam's gonna go look at now and go over all the damage that we did on the trip.
Yeah, if you've watched the episodes in Queensland, you will know that not everything went smoothly. There was some damage that happened to the vehicle. So we're gonna sort of, do a damage report, see what broke, what we broke on the trip. So yeah, we'll get the cars up to the shed and we'll go over them.
Now, my 80 series was never gonna win a show and shine, but this trip I've copped a lot more scratches just from driving all those overgrown tracks. Bent antenna, pinstripes down the whole car, and pretty deep ones, but I mean, that's just the price you pay if you want to do those sort of tracks. But thankfully, I actually didn't damage any panels on this trip, unlike someone else. But yeah, it's all pretty straight, which is good. The only damage I did have was towards the rear of the vehicle, but to properly see that, we're gonna put it up on the hoist. All right, so we've got the car up on the hoist now, and we can show you what's been going on here, because you would have remembered I had a tow bar here. I removed all that to gain some more clearance, but obviously, once you remove some restrictive factor, you're just gonna go to the next place that's gonna restrict you. So we were doing some pretty hard wheeling while away, especially with Tyler. Like me being on the 33s, I obviously have a lot less clearance, and there was many times when I was getting hung up. And this is all sort of evidence here. So I guess we'll start with the front. All right, so you guys know I've got the Long Ranger 166 litre fuel tank in here, which is awesome because it gives me a heap of diesel. So when we are doing those big treks out, I never had to worry about diesel once, and it was awesome. But as you can see here, I have actually smashed it a little bit just because we were doing some big rock steps, getting caught on stuff, and yeah, a fairly little big dent there. It's a pretty bad dent. I'm actually very impressed how solid the tank's held up, considering that's been pushed in, that's been pushed in. So it's probably lost a litre or so of capacity, but she's still strong as nails, and I still plan on driving everywhere with it, so that's all good. The rear bar still gets caught out a little bit. You can see it's been smashed there, been smashed in here. And that's where I'm just, on the smaller tires, I'm struggling to keep up with the big boys. Apart from that, everything still works fine. I'm gonna clean this up, straighten it all back out, and we should be all good to go for the next trip. As for the rest of the car, considering what we put it through, all the skull dragging and everything, it's all in pretty good nick still. A few scrapes, obviously, but apart from, your leaks and all that I've got going on, it's all pretty good. So we're gonna get this thing a service now, drop the oil on it, refresh all that, and then yeah, we should be looking good for the next trip.
What's on the menu for the 1HDT?
Better class of oil, mate.
A better class, wow.
Not sponsored.
He might sign him up.
Nah, the oil pressure's way better too, because it's thicker. So especially in the, coming into like summer and stuff, when you get, some of the other oil can thin out a little bit, whereas this stuff just, it still stays thick.
Oh my God.
Yeah, don't want that funnel lid coming off.
This service, we are also replacing the air filter and re-greasing all the grease points on the car.
On the process of smacking up the rear bar on all the rocks, I also tore up a bit of my wiring for my rear lights. They've had to run like underneath the bar because there wasn't any proper real way to route them. So what I've done is just drilled a hole in through the rear bar itself, and we're gonna run cable back through there, up there, just so it's never going to be at a point where it could get caught or impact from a clearance. So yeah, redo that and then I'll have my reverse lights working again. So if all those little jobs complete, it's ready to go back on the road and back on the tracks. There are some bigger mechanical jobs that this needs doing, but they're going to require a whole episode, so we'll do them soon.
All right, so Paddy's car's all sorted. Now we'll move on to the poor old patrol. It did cop a little bit of damage while we were away, as some of you might have seen. And here it is, as you can see in the flesh. It's not the most noticeable thing in the world, but I have done a pretty decent pinstripe and as well as sort of dished in the panel a bit. So yeah, I'm not too happy, but what do you do, eh? And that's not where the damage stops. There is something I've done to the underside as well. So let's get it up on the hoist and I'll show you. So the first thing that's extremely obvious, and honestly I'm not surprised that this happened, I did bend the exhaust. So because of where I had it coming out under the chassis rail, it's obviously in a pretty exposed position. So I've put, I think it was when we were out forward driving with Tyler actually, I've put a nice big kink in it and also a hole, which is, funnily enough, the car did start making some funny noises, like whooshing noises. I thought the turbo was on its way out, but I think it's just because of this, but we'll get that fixed up pretty easy. Looking everywhere else, everything looks pretty good other than obviously being a bit dirty and a couple scratches. To be expected, considering I did pretty much turn every bolt on this car when I rebuilt it. One hasn't lasted. I lost a sway bar bolt, so pretty much didn't have a front sway bar for the whole trip, but yeah, that's all right, that happens. So 1 out of like a few thousand ain't bad. So I think the patrol did pretty well considering we didn't mark it up too much, nothing too major wrong with it, so all pretty good there. So we'll give it a service while it's up on the hoist. It is well overdue. So yeah, let's go drop some oil and get into it. Black gold. Now I'm doing the fuel filter this time around as well because it is due, 10,000 Ks. I'm gonna pull it out before I pull the filters off because it's much easier to get to the TD42 filters with the filter removed. So we'll take that out. As for what I'm feeding to the TD, it's getting the specials menu, so whatever was cheapest at Super Cheap. First impressions on the new line's worth noting. Something about it, it seems thinner than normal. We'll see, hopefully I haven't made a big mistake. We'll give it a run and build some oil pressure, then we'll check the level. So if you guys remember, this is the stainless steel airbox that I got made up by Jeff Fab Customs. He did the snorkel as well. And when I put in a uni filter with also a filter sock. And that was when I first rebuilt the car, so a few Ks ago now. And I haven't checked it since. So we're gonna open it up for the first time and see how it's fared, and yeah, we should just be able to service the sock and stick it all back together. Oh yeah, first impressions, intake looks clean. That's a good start. Holy crap, this is filthy.
Look at all that gun sort of falling out in the bottom.
Oh my God, that is filthy. So we'll get some petrol and we'll give it a clean, and I've got some oil as well to oil it back up. But yeah, that's why I need an air filter. Now, the true test is, by rights, this sock should have protected the filter underneath from getting, you know, filthy. So I should be able to pull this sock off and hopefully underneath we have a clean filter. But we will soon find out. I mean, as you want, it's clean on the inside, filter underneath, other than what I just dribbled on there, is pretty clean. This is just a pre-clean. I know that's dirty petrol, but. All right, well, we got cleaned up. Looking pretty much brand new.
Being a serviceable filter, I re-oiled the filter sock and then could install it back into the airbox.
So that's oil done, and filters, fuel filter, and air filter. It should be all serviced and right to go. Now, a few of you may be wondering how the whole canopy setup went on the trip, as it was the first time using it since completing it, and in short, it was awesome. Having my big drawer as well as the pantry slide was awesome. I filled it with all my cooking gear and my food, still had heaps of room to spare, which was sweet. And also, I absolutely loved my little slide out stainless bench. This thing was just perfect for prepping food either on the side of the road or at camp. Just worked super well. Also, for the time that I did have a working battery, the 12-volt system was bloody awesome. I had the inverter running a few times on the sandwich press, which worked sweet. And the fridge with the fan mod as well, that was a new addition. It actually worked heaps better, used a lot less power and a lot more consistent temperatures throughout the fridge, so definitely one that was worth doing. And as for the other side of the canopy, my big double drawers, they worked really well. Heaps of space in them. Now, the one thing that I do want to change about them is how I can organise them, because one big open space while you're doing tough tracks and the car's going on all different angles and bumps, stuff does get thrown around in there quite a bit. So to fix all of this clutter in the drawer, I've actually gone and got myself some clear top canvas bags. These are the ones from AFM 4x4. They're actually the same ones that Paddy uses in his rear setup. They're made out of super strong canvas. They've got a clear top so you can see what's inside them. And I think the best part, which is gonna be awesome for my application in these particular drawers, because I carry around stuff like brake fluid, grease and other dirty bits. If I do have a spill or I'm throwing something grubby in there, these are actually PVC lined on the inside. So it means you can easily wipe them out, clean them, whatever. Yeah, so I'm just gonna start whacking them in there and hope we can get this drawer a bit more organized. Well, there you go, just like that, straight away, so much easier and more organized. I've got like lubricants and things in the back. I've got like a few little disposables, tie down bits and pieces up the back here as well. Then I've got genuine parts in the own casing in the front, and then I've got like 12-volt appliances in their own case in the front as well. And it all fits in there like Mickey Mouse, perfect. So much more organized, much easier to use. Definitely a good upgrade for the drawers. So that's the Patrol and the Land Cruiser all serviced and fixed up for the time being. There obviously are still a few little jobs that need attention, but we're gonna get to those in future episodes. So if you like this episode, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment, get subscribed, and we'll see you in the next one.